Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Spirit Lift Sundays. Kind of been out of it for the last week. I've been traveling with my family and reconnecting with my kids, so I haven't really had a live episode for actually 2 weeks. I took 1 week off because I was spending quality time with my kids. And so now I'm here again today. And the message that is wanting to stream through me this morning is about magic. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this is because my higher self communicates to me through song. And there's a song that's been playing in my head the last couple of days. And I guess if you're my age, you might recognize it. If you're younger, you may not. But it's this song of, you can do magic. You can have anything your heart desires. Magic. So I tuned in on that a few days ago, and I was asking, why in the world am I hearing this song? And it was Spirit reminding me that every single one of us is capable of creating magic. And the way to create this magic is through our heart. So I've been sitting with this and trying to really understand what this means. So we're moving into this new world reality, this new earth reality that we're creating. And we know that this new reality is heart-based. Well, this is something that is such a new concept for humanity because we've never really been taught how to follow our heart and how to create from the heart, because our mind, our ego is, for the most part, running the show. Our mind is running the show. And our hearts have been so encapsulated and controlled by fear that they haven't been working to their full potential. And we haven't been taught how to use our heart to its full potential. And that what Spirit's been reminding me is that when we are living our lives from our heart space, truly and genuinely guided and directed by our heart, that we can create miracles, that magic is possible through every single one of us when we guide our lives from our heart space. Now, our heart is where the light of source is located in our body, and it's expanded out through us. So when we're living in our heart space, we're aligned with the divine heart, the heart of God, the heart of Spirit, the heart of source, whatever our name is for the infinite allness, the I am that I am, the all that is, that from our heart space, we're actually intercreating with the heart of source. And then the difficult part with that is then learning how to, one, clear our hearts of the fear that has attempted to encapsulate it. So one of the visuals I was given years ago is, if some of you may recall, that Yeshua was teaching to not hide your light under a bushel and to shine your light for all the world to see, because every single one of us is a light. Each one of us is a stream of divine light through each one of us, and it's located in our heart. And that this bushel of fear is what prevents us from shining our light to its fullest potential and from being who each of us as a divine human being have the capacity to be. So somewhere in our human evolution, our capacity for creating from the heart has been diminished and has been, again, encapsulated under a bushel of fear. And so as we learn how to free ourselves from this fear-based reality we've been living in and learn to clear the heart of the fear-based blockages that are in there, and then the heart can start working to its full potential, then we can begin creating from the heart. And from the heart, all things become possible. It again goes back to this saying, with God, all things are possible. God is the energy of love itself. So with love, all things are possible. It's about remembering that each one of us are divine love embodied into our physical vessel. We are love, having a human experience. And with love, all things are possible. Therefore, with us, all things are possible. Through us, all things are possible. Then this comes down to learning how to decipher what is really from the heart, when what we desire is from the heart or if it is from the head. And this is where I've really been thinking about this. And how do we decipher whether what it is we desire is genuinely from the heart or if it's our ego, our mind desiring something? So, for example, I'm just going to be in complete transparency here about my marriage. So, Spirit told me about 5 years ago that the contract with my husband was complete and that it was time for me to move forward. However, I wasn't ready to accept that. So I desired, what I wanted was for him to have a spiritual awakening and come on a spiritual path with me. That's what I really, really wanted. That's what I thought my heart desired. In really thinking about that this morning, what I discovered is that wasn't really what my heart desired. That's what my head desired. Because I wanted him to be who I wanted him to be for me. Now, if I were really making that decision from a heart space, my desire would have been for him to be who he needs to be for him. But it was me wanting to be who I wanted him to be because I wanted it to be for me. That then makes it an egoic choice, not a heart-based choice, not a heart-based desire. When it's genuinely coming from the heart, it is genuinely wanting what is best for the other person, not because what I wanted it to be for me. When I finally let go of me wanting him to be who I wanted him to be for me, I was then able to let him go and let him follow the path that his higher self is asking him to go on without my attachments of who I think he needs to be. And I've had to learn how to do that with my kids as well. And those of us who are moms, I don't know, I'm assuming dads go through this too, but I can only speak from this space of being a mother. That learning how to let go of who I want my children to be for me, that's where it gets difficult, because my heart would really love for them to have their spiritual awakenings and remember who they are, because I want them to come on this amazing journey with me. But then again, that comes back to what I want them to be for me. When I move out of what my ego wants, what my mind wants, and I move into a place of pure heart, I want my children to be who they are born to be. I don't know who that is. I don't know what their soul's journey looks like. I don't know what their path is. And learning how to let go of my expectations of who I think I want them to be, because it would make me happy. I want my kids to be a certain way to make mommy happy. That's not really a heart-based choice. A genuine heart-based choice would be that I genuinely want my children to find out who they are. And I know they're going to have to go through some struggles in their own dark night of the soul to find out who they are. That's the hardest part for any mom, is to know that they sit and watch their children make mistakes and still love them through it and still trust that they will find themselves and remember who they are. And when I think about that from that heart space, it gives me the ability to see how the Divine Mother and even Mother Earth sees each one of us as children having a human experience and having to let go of the attachments of who the Divine Mother wants us to be, who Mother Earth wants us to be, and allow us to be who we need to be from the heart of the Mother. and trust that we'll remember who we are. Trust that we will remember how to light up our own hearts and remember that we are love embodied. And when we remember that we are love embodied, that everything in our periphery, everything in the world is an extension of the love that each one of us are. And when we remember that we are love embodied and we remember how to make choices and decisions and desires from the heart, that's what's going to make our world a better place. That is what's going to restore each one of us individually and collectively, and the planet herself, back into our greatest divine potential. It requires that we get out of our mind. And I know that's kind of funny. Being out of my mind is the best place to be. And it actually is. When I remember to get out of my mind and go purely into my heart, that's where peace is. That's where heaven on earth is. It's inside the heart, and making decisions from that heart space. And here's probably the greatest key to making decisions from the heart space and creating the magic that's calling to each one of us, is to make decisions from the heart without attachments. Attachments are ego-based. Attachments are mind-based. And when we can start to make choices about ourselves and about our lives and about what we want to see in the world, when we pull those desires purely from the heart, there are no attachments to it. It's my heart to your heart. It's my heart to the hearts of humanity. It's my heart connected to the heart of the Divine Mother. It's my heart connected to the heart of Mother Earth. And when we make decisions and choices and desires from the heart, we make them from a state literally of pure bliss from within and spreading that outward. So, for example, as I was saying, a choice from the heart, a desire of the heart is wanting my husband to be who he is here to be without any attachments of who I think he needs to be to make me happy. It's not his job to make me happy. It's not my children's job to make me happy. I can't expect them to be who I want them to be, because then it would be all about me. And that doesn't come from the heart. So what does that look like then? If we are making decisions from the heart, what that does, that actually creates magic in our life and allows instant manifestation. When we're making decisions from our mind, from our ego, our mind has to go through trying to figure out how to make it happen and how to control the situation. That's not magic. When we make a decision or make a choice or have a desire purely from our heart, there are no attachments to how it manifests, how it shows up, when it shows up. And because there are no strings attached, it can manifest so much faster and so much easier. I've seen that in my own life. When I'm on path and when I'm aligned with my heart's purpose and my heart's desire, things just show up with grace and ease. And when I'm trying to force a scenario, it's so much more difficult. It's like I was saying to someone the other day, when I'm on path, it moves with grace and ease, and spirit just plops things into my path. When I'm a little bit off, like when I'm in the gravel on the side of the road, it's so much harder to trudge through and try to force things into place. So if things feel like you're having to force them, or there's attachments to them, more than likely it is that you are slightly off path and that you're not perfectly aligned with your heart's desire. Your heart aligned with the heart of your soul, the heart of divine love through you. When you're aligned, things line up. And when you're aligned, life moves with greater ease and greater clarity. And it feels almost like magic. So I use the term synchronicity. So for me, synchronicity is the magic of the universe. When you're aligned and when you're following your heart's true desire, and when you're aligned with the will of your soul and the heart, the divine heart, it is like magic. Synchronicity just falls into place. Now, it is up to each one of us to do something with that synchronicity when it manifests on our path, because God's not going to do the work for us. Spirit's not going to do the work for us. When it aligns in our path in this physical realm, in this physical field, we still need to act upon the alignment when it shows up and recognize the alignment when it shows up and trust when the alignment shows up that it's showing up because it's aligned with our heart's desires. So getting into the heart space and learning how to make choices from the heart is something that each and every one of us is going to be asked to learn how to utilize and how to practice and how to recognize. A desire from the heart would be, for example, a desire that every heart, that all the hearts of humanity are healed. That isn't a desire of my heart. I don't want 8 billion people to be healed because it's good for me. It's because the bliss that comes with living your life from a space, from the heart space, is so beautiful and so peaceful and so blissful. I desire that for every human being. There's nothing in it for me. It's because I genuinely want every human being to be healed and to get to experience that level of peace and that level of bliss that comes from being in love with life, being love embodied, remembering to be in love with the life force that is every single one of us. That's what Yeshua meant when he said to love your enemies and pray for those who spitefully use you. And this is why it's so difficult for people to grasp what he meant by that. What he meant is to genuinely wish them well, to send love from our hearts to the hearts of those people we would call our enemies, because we want them to be well. To pray for those who spitefully use us because we want them to be well. We want them to live their lives from the same beautiful heart space that we get to live from. He knew what that felt like, to be in love, to know that he is one with love, and desire that for everyone else, even those we would consider to be our enemies, even those we would consider to be those who spitefully use us. To want them to feel that love, that wholeness, that holiness of love that exists within the core of every single one of us. Because all of us, we are all love embodied in human form. And he wanted all of us to remember that. So for me, that's what it means to live life from the heart. And every time we desire something and we want magic to occur in our lives, to stop and ask ourselves why. Why do I want this? Do I want this thing because there's something in it for me? Does it feed my ego? Does it make me feel like a better person when someone else is who I want them to be? Or do I genuinely want this because I want all of humanity to be healed? And what role does the ego play in that? And I grapple with that. Again, in complete transparency, I find myself grappling with that. I get on my YouTube channel, I almost have 1,000 subscribers, and my ego goes all woo. And then I remember that this isn't about the number of subscribers. It isn't about the number of people that follow me. That's all ego stuff. When I get into my heart space, I go back and remember the reason that I teach isn't about selling stuff. It isn't about people following me. It isn't about building my platform. That's all ego. I teach because my heart genuinely desires for other people to feel the peace and the love that's available to every single one of us when we live our lives from the heart. And it doesn't matter how many people follow me. That's just numbers. And it's really about how many people's lives I touch and how many people I can help to remember who they are. That's it. And if all of us can remember that, this is a whole different way of moving through life, a completely different way of moving through life, to constantly check, is what I want genuinely from my heart, from the heart of love, or is what I want from my ego having attachments to this thing that I think I want? Completely different way of moving through life and making choices. And then there's this thing called trust. I think that's one of the things that we're also really having to work on at this point, is learning, one, how to live from our heart space, and then learning how to trust our heart, and trusting that when this is what our heart wants, trusting that this is also divine, the divine love, trusting that to create the magic and to create the miracles and to create the synchronicities in our life so that we can move forward in that heart desire. And the other thing to remember is that sometimes that changes as well, because we are living in an environment right now where the earth is changing, and we are changing so fast that who we are individually and collectively isn't even the same person we were yesterday. And I'm thinking back on in my early 20s. Now, when I was in my early 20s, maybe I'm a bit more, I don't know, intuitive or more in touch with what's happening inside me more so than other people. I don't know, but this is just how I was. And I remember in my 20s waking up every morning going, oh my gosh, I'm not even the same person I was yesterday, because I could feel my mind growing and expanding. I could feel my body changing. I could feel me changing. And I'm so glad I didn't get married before 25, because I was becoming a new person every day and learning so much about myself every day and becoming more of who I'm here to be every day. And I actually recognize that. I can feel that in my mind and in my body. And what's fascinating is that I feel that happening again at 50 something, that I'm changing so fast. My mind is expanding so fast, and I can feel my physical vessel changing into a more, I'm going to say enlightened isn't quite the right word, but I can feel my body shifting into something stronger than it's ever been. And it's not just me. I talk to so many people who say the same thing, that our reality and who we are as human beings is changing so fast right now that we need to be willing to be flexible with that change. And the mind is not flexible. The ego is not so flexible. The heart is flexible. The heart allows for more expansion for ourselves and for all of humanity. The heart allows for more expansion of what's possible on the planet collectively. The heart allows for other people, not just for ourselves, but allows for other people to expand as well. When we learn how to see life and all of humanity through the eyes of love and through the heart space, we can then begin to see how everything becomes possible. Everything becomes magical, everything becomes possible, and every human being has the capacity to remember who they are as love embodied. Even the people who have committed the most horrific crimes, at the very core of who they are is love embodied. And every single person has the capacity to remember who they are. given the loving circumstances. Human beings make the choices that they make to create suffering in the lives of other people because of their own suffering, because of their own disconnect from the love that is within them. Every human being is born as love embodied. And somewhere along the way, some human beings lose their connection to that. If we are all living our lives from the heart space, from the genuine desire for all of humanity to be healed and to remember the love that they are, we can begin to understand that even those who are suffering the very most have the capacity to be healed and to be reconnected to the love that is within them. In this environment that we're in, where things are moving so rapidly and the world is changing so quickly, and so many people are waking up and remembering who they are, this actually has the capacity to become the new normal. Imagine that. Imagine if remembering that we are all love embodied, that becoming the new normal, what this world could look like. It can be when enough of us remember that and we start to put that out into the field of consciousness. When enough of us put our heart's light, put our love out into the field of consciousness, out into the collective field, it will transmute fear and it will transmute darkness because it must. That is how powerful the heart is. The heart is so powerful that it can transmute everything in its path. It is so magical that it can change the world in an instant when enough of us remember that. All that darkness, all that chaos, all that fear that's swirling around our planet right now can cease to exist when enough of us feed love and light into it. When enough of us refuse to contribute to the fear, when enough of us refuse to contribute to the darkness, when enough of us refuse to contribute to judgment, when enough of us refuse to be a part of that game, when enough of us remember that we are love embodied, that we are light embodied, and that when we make every choice that we make is from the heart of unconditional love and the genuine desire for all of humanity to be healed, for all of humanity to remember love inside themselves, for all of humanity to remember that we are all source light embodied in every single one of us. That's how we change the world. We don't change the world through spewing judgment and through spewing expectations, for having attachments for how we think other people need to be. We affect and impact the world by remembering that we are love, and through spreading that forward, through spreading it into every life we touch, into every word we speak. That's how we change the world. I know so many people who consider themselves light workers, and yet they spew judgment and hatred out toward others who are not like them. That is not working in the light. That is not working on behalf of love. That is contributing to the dis-ease of humanity. If we want to heal the dis-ease of humanity, it is through love. With love, all things are possible. And every single one of us is that. Through us, all things are possible. So we get to choose. Each one of us gets to choose. Are we going to be the embodiment of love and the embodiment of light and make that the message that spreads forward, even when someone is doing something we don't like and we don't approve of? Do we have it within us to send them love and to wish them well, rather than judge them for the choices that they have made in their own suffering? That's what it means to live life from the heart and to be in our heart's greatest desire. When one life is healed, it has the ability to heal the lives of every person on the planet, because we are all interconnected. Whether we like it or not, every single one of us is connected to every other person on this planet. The choices we make individually affect people on the other side of the world. And now in this age of instant manifestation, the choices we make can instantly affect someone on the other side of the world. It doesn't take days, weeks, months, or years anymore. Now it's instant. Every thought we have, every feeling we have, every desire we have is fed into the collective airwaves and becomes part of the new reality. Every single one of us plays a vital role in the world that is being created right now by us, by each and every one of us, simply by being who we are. By actively being the change we want to see in the world. That means consciously being aware of our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, our choices, our words, because everything we speak, everything we feel feeds into the creation of our reality. And yes, as the chaos and the darkness and the suffering swirls around us, rather than getting sucked into it and continuing to send anger and resentment and hatred toward those people that are assumed to be those creating the suffering, send them love, wish them well, desire for them to wake up so that they can experience the bliss that comes with remembering that they too are love embodied, and that they too are light embodied, and that they too can be relieved of their own suffering. Hate never cures hate. Judgment does not cure judgment. The only thing that will cure the suffering on our planet is love. The only way to transmute the darkness on our planet is through each one of us embodying the light. And not because we want other people to change, but because we want other people to feel whole. Because we want for them what it feels like to be connected to the divinity within. That is what it means to live from the desires of our heart. And when enough of us remember that, that's when all things become possible. When enough of us remember to lead our lives from our heart space and genuinely wanting what is best for others because it's what's best for them, not because of who we think they need to be or what we think is best for them, but loving them for who they are and wanting what's best. We can change the world so fast. And it isn't even about changing the world. It's about bringing more love into the world, bringing more light into the world, bringing more healing into the world. Wanting everyone in this beautiful blue globe. It's interesting. I'm seeing what looks like a marble, this spectacular marble in the universe, one of the most beautiful places in the universe. We want every being who lives here to be able to feel that love and sense that beauty and love what it means to be alive, not just living. To feel alive. What if every single one of us could experience that? When every person steps outside their door and they see the beauty of this amazing planet that we live on, and every person can see the divinity, the beauty, the love in every other person. Imagine the world we live in. That's my heart's desire. Really. My heart's greatest desire is for every person to be healed of their own suffering so that they can remember who they are, and we can create this amazing place where every person doesn't just feel loved, but remembers that love is who they are. And the love in others is reflected back to each of us because we're sending that forward. That's what it means to live in the heart space, to choose from the heart space, free of attachments, free of what the ego thinks it wants, and genuinely having that desire from the loving space of the heart. That's where magic happens. When we make choices from the heart, the universe says yes. This and something even better. Imagine that. This and something even better. That's choices made from the heart. So that is my message for today. Again, there's that song again. You can do magic. You can have anything your heart desires. That's a message from Spirit through me to you. And I hope that helps with wherever you are in your life right now. I know that a lot of people are presently experiencing a breakdown of everything they thought was their heart's desire, because we're making space for something even better to come through. And allow what no longer works for us, allow what no longer serves us to finish its process, loving ourselves through the process, because the process of letting go can be very painful. Loving ourselves through that letting go process, loving other people who are involved in that letting go process, loving them through it, loving ourselves through it. And the more we love ourselves and love each other through that suffering process, the easier and quicker we'll be able to move through the suffering and back into love. I send love to each and every one of you, that whatever suffering you may be feeling right now, that you feel that love, and that you remember to love yourself and love everyone else through the suffering. And when you do, the suffering begins to disappear. Because when you're coming genuinely from a place of the heart, you're able to let go of the attachments to how you think it needs to be and how it should have been, and allow it to be what it needs to be, so that you can bring the next thing into your life from your genuine space of heart. And let go of any egoic attachments to how you think it should have been or how it should be. It's actually one of my favorite little quotes, is to remember to not should on yourself and don't should on others either, because our suffering comes from attachments. And when we're able to let go of our attachments, the suffering dissipates with it. Okay, I'm going to open up to any questions that anyone has before I close out for the morning. Nicole is saying, thanks for the insight on the whole topic. Yeah, frustration. It is very frustrating. The frustration comes from our attachments to how we think things need to be or how they should have been. And if we can get out of ego, which is where the frustration is, and go back into the heart space and ask our heart, is this what's best? How can I see this through the eyes of love? Then the answers will begin to manifest, and it will start to feel less frustrating, because you'll be able to see it from love and acceptance of what has been and what you're moving into, and learning how to love whatever that is that's happening in your life right now. One of the things I found for myself, now I'm in the process of healing the relationship with my children. For those of you who might have been following me back in December, as my marriage ended and my kids think their mom's crazy. They're starting to think their mom's not in touch. They're remembering the heart of who I am, rather than their own egoic attachments to who they thought I needed to be. And that because I'm accepting my children for who they are rather than who I would like them to be, that relationship is now being repaired. And I actually have a really good relationship again with my children, which is amazing. But back in December, I was a mom. I was devastated that my kids preferred to live with their dad instead of me. And I had to sit with that. And I kept asking myself, how can I see this through the eyes of love? What is the lesson I need to learn here? And that it was a lesson that I needed to learn about letting go of my own codependent attachments that I had to my children. I had an unhealthy attachment to my kids, and I needed to not let go of my relationship with them, but I needed to let go of my unhealthy attachments to them. And it was a painful process to go through to get to that space of recognition. And once I let go of those attachments, and then I'm now remembering that I'm whole within myself, whether my children are in my life or not, that's how I was able to heal my own suffering in that. And because I was able to heal my own suffering in that, my children were then able to come back into my life now with a much healthier relationship than we had before. Oh, thank you all so much for sharing your stories. Baba's message is a little bit too long for me to read, but I will go back and read that. Thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, I hope that helps all of you. It's a really interesting time to be alive right now because there is so much suffering and so much disconnecting happening, and relationships that are falling apart and businesses that are falling apart. And I went into a business yesterday that was one of my favorite businesses, and they were closing their doors, and I could feel the heart of the owners because I remember what it feels like. I had a business 10 years ago, or back in 2008 when the economy collapsed and I lost my business, and I had put my heart into it. And I thought that was the way I was going to make a difference in the world. And when that rug was pulled out from underneath me, it was devastating and it broke my heart. And so when I see these other small businesses failing, I know what it feels like to have that dream pulled out from underneath. And then remembering that sometimes the dream is pulled out from underneath is because something even better is on its way. And rather than getting sucked into the suffering of having that dream pulled out from underneath us, begin to look at it and ask what are the lessons that need to be extracted from it, and be open to the truth that something even better is coming. Something really great is coming on our planet. And those of us who are ready to receive it will do extraordinary things with it, because we are the ones we've been waiting for. And we are the change we want to see in the world. And our hearts will be the hearts that will heal the hearts of humanity. That's why we woke up early, so that we could help others remember who they are. And with that, I wish you all love. I wish you all well. I wish you all the very best. And I wish for the entire world to be healed, that every single one of us can feel and remember who we really are. I love you all so much.